URC round number 12, folks, is in the bag. It's another one of these fellow weeks in the Six Nations, which sees the URC get back underway for a week before it goes back into hibernation until the end of the competition, barring the catch-up game between the Sharks and the Lions. I'm looking forward to that game, if nothing else, for the fact that all the teams will finally be on the same amount of games played after that game on, I think it's like the 8th or 9th of March. Hoorah. But URC was back in action. We saw some upsets, a lot of guys missing from the squads that are with their Six Nations teams. We'll go through them pretty quick, wrap them up, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Edinburgh did a thing. Oh my goodness, Edinburgh. Just when you thought they were kind of down and out. No, they've gotten a away win against Munster. Unbelievable, 34 points to 28. It's maybe not that expected because Edinburgh's season has been underwhelming, I guess, to put it kindly. I mean, Alex Nankervis had a pretty bloody good game for Munster. He'll be looking forward to hooking up with Clayton McMillan when he gets to Ireland. They'll be, their former club mates at the Chiefs, where Clayton McMillan was his coach. That'll be good, but Nankervis scored a couple of tries. He was very busy around the park. There's a helicopter flying over my house. I guess the police are looking for somebody in my neighbourhood. Sean O'Brien and O'Connor got the other two for Munster, but it was mainly about that man, Matt Curry, for Edinburgh. 3 tries from him, 2 in the first, 1 in the second, Ross Thompson, and then Magnus Bradbury as well. Munster's scrum was under a bit of pressure. They scored first, but Edinburgh replied with a kind of bonus point secured by half-time, which is, pretty pleasing. So 29-7. Looking like a pretty comfortable lead, but Munster certainly gave them a game of it and managed to get themselves a couple of points out of it because Munster kept fighting right to the death. I mentioned Curry with his hat-trick. He was outstanding. Nankervis, like I mentioned, they beat 7 defenders and won 3 turnovers. Outstanding. Ben Muncaster had 20 tackles and set up a try. Also pretty outstanding. So, good way to start the URC weekend. Like I said, Munster, despite the loss, at least get a couple of points out of it. And Edinburgh, well, that's a good news story after having a few not that great weeks in recent times. Zebre is a fantastic news story of the URC because they've won 3 matches in a row. What's going on with Zebre? 31-21, admittedly over the Dragons, who are genuinely way behind everybody else now. Like, we'll get to the table at the end, but there's a bunch of sides within a couple of points of each other, kind of at the bottom half, midpoint of the table, but the Dragons are miles behind everybody else. And the Dragons, I mean, they score first, but allow an immediate reply from the Zebre guys. They were leading at halftime 21-14, but you'll notice they didn't score any points in the second half, which tends to not go that well for sides. So tries in the second half to Zebre saw them take it away from the Dragons guys. So 17-zip in that half, 3 in a row for Zebre. Priscantelli looked like he played pretty well, but it was that Stavile kind of wonder try that was the absolutely highlight level worthy moment of that game. There was steps and offloads and all kinds of stuff in the build up to it, so if you haven't seen it, it is worth a look. The Lions and the Sharks. Boy, the Sharks. I mean, there's been raining in South Africa clearly from both the Sharks Lions game and the BULvSTO game. There's been some heavy rain in the kind of Joburg, Pretoria neck of the woods, but that's not very good from the Sharks. They are a bit of a roller coaster. Which team is going to show up? Well, this is the one that scores 2 late tries in the last 3 minutes of the game to not get nilled, because the Lions have already won the game with a bonus point way earlier. Bonkers crazy game. I mean, the turnovers coughed up in this game is massive. 20 by the Sharks. You almost never see teams cough up 20 turnovers in a game. 17 by the Lions, also very high, but again, rain, I'm sure, was a big factor in that. You saw the territory stats well in favour of the Lions, 63%. Tries through Borta, Frankie Horn, Edwin van der Merwe. Nice line from him, Richard Creel. Kens and Lombard got him. So, they were out to a 38-0 lead. They let in a couple at the end, Hooker and Kolisi going over the whitewash. But, man, the Sharks, don't know. You're a bit of a mixed bag of a side. So that's an important one for the Lions in terms of their chase for the playoffs, which they are still out of at the moment, but with a game in hand, are still very much in that race. Seems like the ref also lost his yellow card in that game. He couldn't find it when he was trying to yellow card a player, which is not something you see every day. Leinster go on, bloody hell, 42-24 against Cardiff. It was still a game at half-time at the Aviva, 14-12 at half-time, but that is a big old bunch of tries for the Leinster guys in the second half to kind of take it away from them. I mean, the Boyle try in the corner is probably my favourite of that one. Anytime you see a prop get to go over in the corner, that is phenomenal stuff. But to be fair, both sides put in a couple of really nice try-saving tackles. There were a bunch of points on display. Cardiff's yellow card in the second half was really pretty severely punished, though, by Leinster. You can't be affording to give them extra men on the field. But McKee, Boyle, Deegan, McGrath, Tector and Russell all going over for the tries for Leinster. Millard bagged a couple for Cardiff, including the really nice opening one where he got himself into some pretty good space. But one thing that's good for Cardiff, if nothing else, they went away to Dublin and managed to score 4 tries. So they still get a bonus point, which not everybody does when they are facing Leinster, albeit a depleted Leinster side away from home. Clean breaks finished 5-4 in favour of Cardiff. So good on you for creating some attacking opportunities, although they conceded 12 penalties to 7, which is not as ideal. The Bulls and the Stormers, that even seemed to have worse weather than the Joburg game. 19-16. I did not watch this one in full, but the penalty exchange was mainly the story of the game. I don't mind games which have got a penalty exchange, but 3-0 Stormers, 3-all, 6-3. 6-all, 9-6, 9-all, 12-9, 12-9 to the Stormers at halftime. It was literally an exchange of penalties. The Bulls scored a close range try through for Mark on 61, and the Stormers replied with a bit of a kind of poacher's try, I guess, from Similani with a bit of footballing skills on 68. So, yeah, maybe not the prettiest game, but again, given the conditions, to get a win away from home at Pretoria for the Stormers, hey, that is a good effort. Clean breaks in this game. Remember I said the Leinster game was 5-4. This game was 1-0. The Bulls with the one clean break of the game, so not really the story of that game. But then again, the Stormers tackled at 94%, which is phenomenal stuff. The Stormers missed only 4 tackles in that game, which ain't as pretty as a bunch of clean breaks, but there is something very admirable about conceding that few broken tackles. 4 missed tackles in a game is almost unheard of. That may be the fewest I have ever seen, and I've watched and looked up the stats for a few games in my time. Ulster, they've gotten a win. Hooray. Their season was also kind of like Edinburgh's, looking pretty dodgy at times, but they got a win over the Scarlets. That was a pretty entertaining game as well. 30 points to 28. You got the Scarlets. They love getting it out to the backs. Max Page gets a try. Your Nicholas, and then Vaya Fafita, rangy, one hand carried in the ball run. But it was the Ulster forwards who went to work. Nick Timoney, Callum Reid, and Alan O'Connor. Alan O'Connor's try on the 78th minute. That is the reason you attend a rugby game, to see your team pull it out of the fire when they are behind with no time left. You even it up with the try for O'Connor, and then Nathan Doak slots the conversion. So a last-minute winner for the Ulster guys, which is certainly giving the home fans something to cheer about. The highlights were nothing to cheer about, because I watched the highlights for this one as well. They were all over the shop. The URC highlights are still terrible. They're so bad. They replayed a couple of moments. There were moments that were out of order, literally moments that happened after other moments were either shown again. The time order of the game was not structured from start to finish. It was terrible, but the game itself seems pretty good. And McNabney, the number 8 for Ulster, 9 defenders beaten. That guy deserved a few more highlights of his own with those kind of numbers. Connacht and Benetton, that's a real topsy-turvy game as well. 38-30 with the Connacht guys getting the win. They led 12-0, and then they were down 27-12. And then they managed to kind of really put Benetton to the sword in the second half, because Benetton only scored the 3 points in that second. So it's another side who's punished for low scoring in a second 40 That game was really open. Remember I said the clean breaks for those other games? Well, this one was 9-8 in Connacht's favour. So lots of really open running rugby. Very, very entertaining game. I mean, the Tracy try for the first one for Connacht, the wheels on that guy with the chip and chase, pretty unbelievable stuff. I mean, both sides blew tries. They didn't show them in the highlights, but was it Heffernan that blew an absolute sitter for Connacht? It was, yeah, head and hand stuff, but doesn't cost them in the end. They scored not long later anyway, but yeah, this is a really important win for Connacht in terms of their title race as well. Yeah, 38-30. They'll be pretty pleased to have gotten a win when they were seemingly not quite dead and buried, but they were down pretty substantially at half time. Final game, I think, is probably the game of the round. Ospreys and Glasgow, 32-31. Like, both sides look like they have won it and lost it at the end of this game multiple times. The lead changes hands, but it is the final kick that wins it from Jack Walsh to get the job done from the Ospreys. What a game that was. Jack Mann gets a try. Schickerling gets a couple. Facundo Cordeiro and Nathan Macbeth. For the Glasgow guys, it's Morgan Morse, Kieran Hardy with a couple, Parry and Giles with the tries for the Ospreys. Like, there were some more tries, but there were also some really slick tries from the outside back. So some really, really cracking stuff. Hell of a start from the Ospreys. 3 tries, all unconverted, but 15-0 lead. Halftime still competitive. It's 22-19 to the Ospreys. But then the next score doesn't come until that bonkers final 10 minutes, which sees Glasgow take the lead. The Ospreys take it back. Glasgow score again. Get the conversion to take the lead 31-29, only for the Walsh penalty to win it for the Ospreys at the death. Proper cracking stuff. That's a super game, that one. Line breaks 5-1 in favour of the Ospreys, though. So credit to them. They did all right, but they can score more tries as well, just like everybody else. So, yeah, like I mentioned, next up in the URC is one of those catch-up games. It's the Sharks and the Lions. See which Sharks side shows up for that one. As the table currently stands, Leinster, Glasgow, Bulls, and Sharks are your top 4 sides. So those would be your kind of home quarter finalists, followed by Munster, Cardiff, Edinburgh, and Connacht, who are the currently kind of second half of the playoff side. So the one Welsh side in there, the other of the Scottish sides. Connacht is in there on 29 points, but behind them, the Lions are on 28 with a game in hand. The Scarlets are on 28. The Ospreys are on 28. The Stormers are on 28. And Benetton, 28 points. So that is a real logjam there. Ulster's on 27. And even Zebre is on 25. Not that far behind. It's unfortunate for Zebre. They didn't get to go up the log more because Ulster won. They've caught up to Benetton a wee bit. Be interesting for the Italians if they can pass them. Yeah, the Stormers also managed to get a win. So some of the sides that they're not that far behind also managed to get points this week. The Dragons on 8, as I mentioned, are pretty much miles behind everybody else. But yeah, URC round number 12. You guys let us know your thoughts on that one. And yeah, how do you think the playoffs might line up? You guys take care. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, talk to you guys again soon. See you later.